My evaluation of the Lone Wolf Custom Gear 1.0 after 25 hunts in which I hung the stand. And there were also 3 hunts that I didn't hang the stand, that I just was scouting looking for a hot sign and never found it. And first of all, I'm going to say, when I'm fully loaded with all 4 sticks, all my camera gear, extra jackets, it is a load to pack on the shoulders. You know, if I'm within an hour, hour and a half, it's not that big a deal, but I've had some 2 to 3 hour scouting missions, and the ones that I didn't hang, they were 4+ hours. It gets to be a little bit of a burden, and a couple of times I had to take it off and rest my shoulders a little bit. Which, after you put it back on, you know, you rest for 10 minutes or whatever. After you put it back on, you're definitely refreshed and can go another half an hour, 45 minutes. After you're into the hunt and you're kind of tired already. So my evaluation starts with a couple of the mods that I made, or additions that I made. One is I've got this bowl holder that I've got strapped right to this front buckle here that connects the 2 shoulder pads together to keep them from sliding off your shoulders. And I've got this gear tie. There's a little loop right here that you can use to get that gear tie on there. And what a relief when you're walking around holding that bowl for so long, and you're always holding it. I mean, sometimes I put it on my shoulder, but that gets tedious after a while too. What a relief to stick that bowl, that roller into this pocket, and then I kind of curl that string around, and now I'm holding it like this, and all the weight's off my hands. It's all onto this gear tie and this bowl holder, and it's at ready. And lately I've been getting better and more experience at walking through the thick brush, and I've been jumping deer pretty close. So one of these times it's going to happen. Actually, 2 hunts ago I had a doe and a buck come up really close to me. If I had a gun, I could kill them very easily. They were within 40 yards. Actually, the buck got within 30 yards of me, but there was a lot of brush there, and I had maybe a chance. If I could have drawn back right where I was, I could have had a chance to get him, but I had brush all around me on this side of me, and I was afraid that if I hit that brush, I'd spook him. So I slowly snuck my way away from that brush, and then I looked again, and then he was nowhere to be seen. But the fact is, I'm gaining more experience at walking through the woods, and one of these days this bow's going to be sitting here at ready, and that's all it's going to take. That if I had it hanging, grabbed by the string or over my shoulder, that extra movement might be enough to spook the deer away. So with that, let's take this off. And I've got lots of tape. I bought 2 different types of tape. One, I bought the silent tape from Lone Wolf Custom Gear, which I have all over the stand. I mean, I used it all up pretty quickly, and most of it is at the contact points where I contact the sticks with the platform. And then, additionally, I've wrapped it with this very thin camo hockey tape. I've already got 2 plus this amount of roll on this stand and the sticks. So where the contact points are is mostly where the silent tape is. And I also taped underneath where the shoulder straps go on the stand, because it's beginning to fray. I can see the fray. If I take this off, let me take this off quickly. I don't want the YouTube audience to become bored, because according to YouTube you got about 5 seconds. Well, I'm not saying deer hunters only need 5 seconds, but a lot of people do. But you can see it's been fraying. So as of late I taped them. See all the fray marks? Now, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I don't know how long it would take before it would actually fray and break. And if it did break, what's the big deal, right? I suppose if you're up in a tree holding the stand, you're walking up the steps and it breaks, that would be an issue. But now that I have that hockey tape on there, I'm not worried about it. And that's what it's all about for me. It's not about being perfect. It's about not having to worry about the little issues, the little things. They say it's the little things that'll kill you, right? It's also the little things that might be of benefit to help me kill a buck. I have 2 additions here. One I purchased from Lone Wolf Custom Gear, and this is the sidekick bowl holder. Now I did experience a negative where I was in the stand, I bring the bow up, and then I had to clear some brush away when I stood up and bent over. I hit the bow and the bow fell to the ground. So yes, I have practiced with it since then, everything's fine. But you have to be careful, so now I don't bring the bow up until I'm totally set, and I set it into the holder, and it's a good placement for this holder. The only thing I'm going to do extra is I'm going to buy a second one and put it on the other side, because I can see some spots I'm going to not be able to use this side because there's a limb or something right close by. Then I've got this little holder right here that I bought from XOP. I actually bought that from Cody at a show. I'm not even sure if they offer it yet. But when I bought it, I don't think they were offering this yet. This is called a Versa button in their world right here. This is a Versa button, and that Versa button fits right in that holder. Just like that. Place my first stick. The second stick I'll just wrap the buckle around, the strap around the one that I just installed, so I don't have to worry about that. Because once I get up on that first stick, get my boot into the cableator, you'll see that shortly, and get my other shoe on the first step, well, that second step is hanging on the first step. So now I'm just taking it off that and I'm hanging it. Now the other two, I'm putting in to this bracket. You can see it right here. This is it right here. Okay, right there. Then I have a receiver on the other side. I can put the second one. So now I'm doing this entire hang series in one movement up the tree. I've got two different methods now that I'm employing. If I know the tree that I'm going to sit at and I want to be high in the tree, then I'm taking all four sticks. If I don't know, and I'm taking a lot of other gear too, I'm taking a backpack, especially if I know I'm going to be sitting for a long period of time, I'm bringing a backpack and some supplies in that backpack. And the entire package gets quite heavy, so if it's has to be less than an hour walk in, and I have to know the tree, and I know that I'm going to have to get high, then I pack all this stuff. I mean, the circumstance also includes I'm going to sit for more than a couple hours. And then the other way is, which I started this way and now I'm coming back to it. I'm using only two sticks, no backpack. This is closer to the minimalist way that Cody talks about. And the pocket arm gets strapped right to the seat. Now let me show you how I did that. So I don't think I ever seen that explained by any of the custom gear people. Two ways that I've got it strapped. One is with the seat strap, and it's not just strapped to this peg right here, but it's also underneath and between the two receivers where the seat melds into the platform. So you pick this up, and this is where I'm putting the strap right there, right between them. And then it goes into the receiver, and then it comes around, and I'm strapping it to the peg and tightening it down. Now the seat isn't shifting around. And then the other way, I'm using the strap itself of the pocket arm, where it's a simple process. I've got two cushions, and it kind of seats down in there pretty good. Well, with a single cushion it worked pretty good too, because I've done both. And I just bring that strap around and bring it on the opposite side of my camera holder, and then I attach it to this tightening screw right here. The loop goes right on here, and then I tighten it down with the strap. I was in the swamp last night that had reeds. Last night I had a 3-hour plus walk in and an hour walk out. And I felt like it was one of probably my top 5 sits, top 5 stand areas, and close to bedding and all that. Nothing happened. It was one of my best times that I snuck in without making noise, and was my best hang. The only two noises I made was I did snap a very small twig on my way up, but it was inconsequential. And then I did drop, and I had branches behind me and in front of me, and I was standing on branches while I was hanging it, and I was kind of in an odd position. I couldn't get that strap around the tree without setting that strap down onto the platform, and I did it a little too hard, and the buckle bumped onto the platform. But I've got the buckles totally covered in that silent tape, and it wasn't a metal noise. It was just kind of a thump noise. I even got the silent tape on the buckle of the pocket arm. That's the silent tape right there. Holds 31 feet of 5/32 inch paracord, and I'm generally not higher than 15 feet in the tree, so I'm attaching the pack I have for my camera equipment, which is soft leather, very soft leather. I dyed the elk bone button here. There's a strap that goes around and it holds the flap in place, and inside of it you'll see first there's a pocket on the outside, and there's two pockets on the inside, and right in the center it'll fit this camera here, even with the lens on it, the wide angle lens. It fits right in here, and it's nice and soft and it's quiet. I like it a lot. And I take that, I put that on the seat, and I take the camera out, attach it to the camera holder, and then I'll hang the packet onto the knob of the tightening screw. If I have a jacket, then I hang it on the peg that's on the pocket arm. Do my extra sticks. This would be stick number 3 and 4. I don't carry the straps on the stick itself because putting it between the outer stick and the platform is problematic with the buckle, because I'm using the buckle. So I'm putting the straps into this leather case that I bought on eBay. I bought the first one at eBay too. This is just a belt pack, and I did do a little cutaway of where the belt fits right here, so that I can slide it around to the side. That's where a belt loop will fit into that. And in this, and I also sewed a button on because this latch was popping out. So now that button fits in and connects to that loop. Now it can't open as I'm walking through the woods. And it's a quiet leather, and this is where I'm fitting both my straps for both sticks. And I also have a third strap in here. I also keep my extra flashlight in there. But this is a strap that I bought on eBay, and I can't remember who I bought it from. But this is a strap that if I'm up in a tree that's very wide, it's hard to get that strap around and hold the stand at the same time. So I'm attaching this strap first, and it's modeled just exactly after the straps on the sticks and the stand, except that it has a hook here at one side, and that hook is open in the middle. And this loop here, after I get it around a tree, this loop will fit in through that opening. And now, once I tighten that down, now I can hang my stand on it before I put the stand strap in place. And now you can easily envision, once this hook is connected to the tree, I used both my hands to get that done before I even took the stand off my back. And I take it off my back and I hang it on this cord that I tied onto the base of the seat here. And now my hands are free. I don't have to hold the stand to get the stand strap around using both my hands. Very stable situation. Now on the little narrow trees, you can hold it. You can hold it at the same time. Hold the strap away from the stand. Bring your other hand around and grab it, and I don't even use it. The only time I won't pack that strap with me is if I know the tree that I'm going to be sitting in is a narrow tree. Otherwise, if I'm out scouting and I don't know where I am, or I know it's a big, wide base tree, then I'll take it along with me. I obtained 2 cushions with my purchase, and I attached the second one with a very loose-fitting paracord, and that way I can leave it down. I found that if I sit too long with 2 cushions, my feet begin to turn numb. It's a little too high for me. So I'll take it off at some point. Or if it's a short sit, I don't even care. It doesn't matter. I'll use both. I like to use 2 of them because then I can slide it back, and it fills in that gap between the tree, which is here, and the end of this cushion, which is here. I'm thinking of bringing on another secondary cushion to put here. I don't know, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something. I do have an extra paracord wrapped on the pegs that are right on the bottom of the seat. In the event I am high, and I've got 2 items I want to bring up that's heavy, like my pack full of stuff and my bowl, well, I'll use 2 cords then. I'm really working hard to go up the tree once and minimize my movement in the area. Back to my 3rd and 4th steps. Again, I only pack these in if I know that I'm going to be sitting high in a tree. I know the tree, I know I'm going to be high. If I'm just scouting, I won't take the extra weight along. I'll just have to adapt. But I've got camouflage tape in the center, and that holds, and I've got it on the center of my main sticks with the cabelators. That's where they touch otherwise, and now I've eliminated that contact point. Other contact points that I have the tape on is the tips of these V-brackets. Right here at this point is where the V-brackets meet the platform, and then at the top, before I taped this, it seemed like I always touched that on something, even though I didn't need to, just not thinking. So I've got that taped, and I've got this step taped on both sides, and I was doing some contact on this piece, so I've got that taped, all the way around. So I'm going for 0 noise that I can hear at least. Alright, so I guess the last thing to talk about is the main steps. I call these 2 the main steps because they have the cabelators. One thing I did do is I know that beeswax virtually eliminates squeaks, and I put it together without beeswax at first, and I noticed that there was a little bit of a squeak with this bottom step. It would get in there and squeak when it was going into its final resting position when you're about to step up on it. And with the beeswax, I put it on both sides of the washers, both sides of the cabelator, and even on the back side. No more squeak, and now it's an easier movement on the step too. It's not a quick jerk. There's an easier movement there. And the strap, I'm strapping it like Cody teaches in one of his videos, where the tag end of the strap gets locked into where the step, yeah, there's the strap right there. That's where the step meets up flush with the center post. The only thing you have to make sure of is you don't cover up this rubber grommet with the strap, because then you can't get the rubber grommet into the provided receiver on the platform. Here's the cabelator. I do get up a little bit higher with it. The only problem that I've seen with it so far is when I put my boot in here, it does collapse into a narrow position, and if I'm not careful, it'll come up with my boot when I'm trying to take it off, and it slaps against the tree. So when I'm about to take it out now, I'm wiggling my boot a little bit, and I'm looking down and I'm making sure it's clear. And when you put the buckle on, you got to make sure the buckle is on the female side of the grommet. To have it on the male side is going to be to impede being able to attach it to the platform. Okay, and I'm doing when I'm attaching the stick to the tree, I'm doing what Cody advises, where I put the loop up onto the end of the V-bracket, and now I can bring the V-bracket and bring the strap around the tree, and I can grab it with my hand. Now the first one that I put on, it's not that big a deal, but the second one, now that I'm up on the first stick, then this gets to be a big deal. So now you're not having to hold this strap in this hand, you're trying to get that around. Now it's right here, and you can actually, if it's a wider tree, you can actually hold your hand to the bottom of this, and now you got a long reach, and you can get it around the tree. Tape on all the same contact points, one in the center. I also have tape where I fit the J-hook through. Now I'm not making any noise with that, because no matter how careful I was, I would scrape there. Now There's no noise at all. Also, with this J-hook, I don't have tape on the J-hook like Cody has. I've got tape on the platform itself proper, where the J-hook is going to hook onto the platform and tighten down the stick. Tape on the stand itself, and the same contact points. Right here. Oh, that's for the J-hook. So right here is a contact point. Right here is a contact point. Here's another one that I want the stand to be in as I'm walking up the tree stand, so I can easily grab the post that holds the seat. It's already kind of in place with me, for me. And I found that sometimes I wouldn't be paying as much attention as I should be, and then that'll bounce on the platform. So now I have paracord here on the rim of the front of the seat, and I've got bigger knots here. Now there's no noise. And I also put a layer of tape on the front of the platform right here. And underneath the tape is also a hunk of paracord. Now if I didn't get this proper onto the stand, let's say it was a little bit longer and it comes down, I've had that make noise already too. Now it doesn't make any noise anymore. Now I want to demonstrate putting the stick back on the stand. Where's my J-hook? There it is. When I take this J-hook off, I'm always putting it in a zippered pocket. I don't want to lose this J-hook. I don't want to lose either of them. Oh, well, I can imagine being 3 hours back in there and now you lost your J-hook and then you carry these things out by hand. But I'm taking this strap, of course it's connected to the Versa button, and I'm bringing it around on the grommet side first. There's the grommet, the male side. And coming back around, attaching the buckle side to the female side. So it's on the female side. And this is starting to become very routine for me. In the beginning it was like I had to think about every little thing. Now I'm just doing it. That's where I want to be. You know, there are two different things to think about here. One is how to handle the equipment, and then how to get yourself in a position to shoot a nice deer, I suppose. And then you have to mesh the two. So I'm just mastering the equipment. My next step is to learn more about how to get in position to get a deer. And then after I probably screw that up a few times, then I'm going to learn how to put the two together. So the Cablator one has the little instructions there on how to do it. You just flip it around. You're actually starting on one side. You're bringing it up flush against one side of the Versa button, and then you're crossing the other side over. And now this is the shorter Cablator. It fits right in there. That's really nice. And then the male parts of the grommets here, I'm remembering to get the strap out of the way. Okay, now I got the grommets are free. These are the male side, and there's a female receiver on the platform. And I just pop it in there. Once you get one in, the other one is easy. It's just swinging it back and forth till you get there. And then when I'm finished with the hunt, I like to have my stand in this position, sitting on the ground, waiting to receive the sticks. That way the cable that's holding the platform isn't in my way. And it's a simple matter of just finding one of the holes. Once you get the first one in there, the second one is easy because you just got to kind of float it back and forth until you find the hole. And then it gets popped in. So if the terrain has it that we're leaning forward a little bit, you got to hold it. But if it's leaning back, it'll just sit there, and that's when I put on the J-hook. In the beginning, when I was in actual hunts, my brain would be racing at this point. You know, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm thinking about how am I going to get out of here. Now I'm blocking that all out. How I get out of there is inconsequential for the moment. I wait until this whole stand is together. It's on my back. Everything is secured. I do a double check to make sure I'm not leaving anything behind, and then I worry about how I get out of there. So. Alright, that's my first 25 actual hunts hanging in the stands. Evaluation is, I think it's a winner. I'm sure other mobile tree stands are just as good. Maybe there's some that are even better. I'm not going to speak to that because I've never used any of them. This is the only mobile setup I've ever used. I bought it because of the engineering, and I guess the engineering of the sticks, the way they attach to the stand itself. I'm not worried about bungee cords and all the rest of it. And also I was kind of enamored with that D'Acquisto guy, that he only shot these large bucks. He'd let everything else go. I mean, I would never think of that. I don't know if I'll ever get to that point. I mean, I'm 60 years old now. I think I'm just going to be happy shooting some nice bucks. If I can get a couple of Pope and Youngs with a bow, and I've never actually shot a legal buck with a bow in Wisconsin. I have shot 3 of them in Michigan. But they're all small stuff, you know, 80 sort of thing, 6 and 8 little 8-pointers. I do have one that was an interesting hunt. I actually hunted Escanaba River State Forest one time in 2012, and I shot a little 7-pointer. I'll link that video below because that's a pretty old video. That's like 2012. So I'll link that to the description. I invite you to watch it. I mean, I wasn't much with. I had a really cheap camera, and I didn't have B-roll or any of this stuff. I just was I was happy there, taking pictures of the birds flying by and the squirrels and all that stuff in the sunset. And then a buck happened to show up, and I shot it through the heart. So anyway, I'm putting this thing back together now. And so anyways, I was talking about that Andre guy, and I guess I was enamored with some of his stories a little bit. At 60 years old, you'd think I'd have a mind of my own, but I guess we like to hear stories too. I actually met him and talked to him personally a couple times at the road show. I had a really good time at that road show. I was sitting at a table, and there was, I don't know, he said it was a 160-inch deer. I don't even know how to judge it. So there's no way I'm going to be able to say, oh, that's a 150-inch deer as it walks past me. But I asked him, I says, well, how many inches is that deer right there? And he thought I was kind of kidding him. But I didn't know. And I said, no. I says, you know, I don't know how to judge it. He looked at it, he says, oh, that's on 160 plus. And then I asked him, I says, would you shoot that deer? And this thing was like bullwinkle, you know. He says, no. No, he says. So he's a kindly guy. He answers questions, and he tells deer stories, and he's got deer stories to tell, for one thing. And so I was kind of enamored with him. And his son Coney is a little rough, and I kind of am drawn to that too a little bit. I also like the hunting beast guy, but I like this engineering, so that's why I bought this piece of equipment. Who knows? Who knows what I'll buy next? I mean, I do have disposable income, and I'm gonna buy more stands. I mean, I'm thinking I'm gonna buy another 2.0 for my property, and then as I'm doing this scouting, when I'm just on scouting missions and I'm walking 5 hours, I don't know. I might buy that 0.5 just to be able to do that, or maybe I'll buy that beast stand because it's pretty light. I gotta think about it. One thing I missed on, I also taped the cables because one time my boot squeaked on the cable when I was in a tree. So now that's gone too. So doing 25 hunts, and it's only November 8th now, I think that's a real crash course on how to handle this equipment. And that was my hope, is I would get this ingrained into me so that it's routine. I'm doing this by rote instead of having to think about it. And I'm accomplishing that. At some point, I think in the near... I'm even making use of this Lone Wolf custom gear box to dry the black walnuts that I'm harvesting. Normally I don't put a fan on them, but we've had a lot of humid weather and cloudy days. They just don't dry very well. And what I'm afraid of happening is this, where they get moldy. I don't want the mold. Blowing on the black walnuts on the Lone Wolf custom gear box.